So, good morning. Today, I have with me Celeste Johnson Bowers. If you went to high school with her, you probably remember Celeste Johnson. And so she is going to share with us about her career track today, and I'm excited. She's been a guest speaker in my classes before and has done a great job. So we're just going to start. Celeste, if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about you from high school, what year you graduated, what you were involved in, things like that.
I graduated Marion High School in 2007. Um, let's see, while in high school, I originally thought I wanted to um, go like the nursing route and take CNA classes and all that great stuff. And so I was involved in I forgot the name of the club, but
HOSA, probably HOSA.
yes, for like my first year. And I did pep club. And then my sophomore year, I took accounting because the counselor suggested it because I like math with Miss Hudgens. And that's when I decided that I like business. And so I took pretty much every business class that's available at that point in time. And I joined FBLA. I think we only had like 10 people. Very small number. By the time I think I graduated, we had like 50. So start out very small. And I took all the accounting classes. And while in high school, I decided that I wanted to be an accountant. And that's what I do now.
Yeah. Your group was the first group that I took to Chicago on a
Oh, yes.
and we've tried to since revive that trip, and there's just been like the springs get so busy, and we don't seem to be able to get it done. So I'm thinking about trying to move it to a fall trip. But yeah, that was a fun group for sure.
Let's see. We do bowling while we were there? I feel like we did bowling. Did we bowl?
It's possible. We did a lot in a
We
24
did a
hour.
lot of stuff in one day.
Yeah, we did a lot. We saw the financial district. We
Yep.
went to Navy Pier. We went to Magnificent Mile. We saw the Bean.
The bean.
Um, yeah. So it was, and we took the train up and back, and we were exhausted when we finished. But it
Yeah,
was
that was a long day.
okay. Yes. So, Celeste, once you left high school, you kind of already decided accounting was your track,
hmm
your career path. But would you mind to share with us then how you got from Marion High School to where you are today?
So originally, like most people who are from Southern Illinois, we want to leave. So I left home and went to Murray State for a semester. They actually have a really good accounting program. They have a 5-year program. It's just double bachelor's is what theirs is. But got there, decided that I really didn't want to leave home. So I moved back home and went to John A. And did just a general associates in arts. Just because I started at university, it just didn't make sense to get the business degree at John A. because of credits and all that kind of stuff. And then I transferred to SIU. I did find out SIU actually has a little bit better program. They actually have a 5-year program and you get a master's degree. So I went to SIU, completed my bachelor's degree in 2011 in May. And then right after that, I went into the master's program, literally graduated on a Saturday and started the program on Monday. And then I started my fall semester and I got an opportunity to do an internship, which I had not done yet, with KPMG. If you're accounting, that's one of the big 4 accounting firms. So I took that opportunity and went to Minnesota. Uh, yeah, that was a different aspect of life. I didn't realize that I was going to Minnesota. I didn't know it until a week before I left. So, um, change, adapted, moved to Minnesota for a semester, did an internship for their internal auditing program. Um, I like auditing. I do not like IT. It was more on the IT side.
Um,
Uh, so I chose not to accept a offer with them. because it's just not what I wanted to do.
Mhm.
It was a good experience though. Being away from home, also being in a big four accounting firm, which also gave me the opportunity when I did come back home for a lot of prospective jobs. Just having that internship with a big four holds a lot of weight. After I graduated with my master's degree, I worked for Community Health and Emergency Services, which is a nonprofit health facility with a lot of facilities down in the southern part of Illinois, Cairo, Mounds, Union, those places down there. I worked for there for almost a year, and I really wanted to get into cost accounting because it's the class I liked in college. And I got the opportunity to work for General Cable in DuQuoin, Illinois. I worked there for about 3 years as a cost accountant and decided that it was best for the family that I get closer home because I was still living in Marion, driving to DuQuoin.
Mhm.
Then I left and actually became the finance manager for Priority Staffing Group here in Marion. Staffing agency is totally different than cost accounting. But I learned a lot, met a lot of nice people, networked with a lot of people. Still love PSG. But I got the opportunity to actually go back and work for General Cable, which is now Prismian Group, as their plant controller. So I took that opportunity because, like I said, I do love cost accounting. And now I currently work as the plant controller at the company I was at before.
So, for my students who, and for adults who may not know what a plant controller does, and how that ties into accounting, you want to explain a little bit, kind of what like your normal day to day is outside of being shelter at home right now. What does what does it typically look like to work as a plant controller?
So as the plant controller, we work really closely with the other plant management to, in our case, we're a cost center. So that means that we have to make enough product in order to earn enough money to spend it. So we work really closely with the plant controller to ensure that they understand that they're meeting their goals, earnings, and are not overspending based on what they're making. On a daily, weekly basis, I put out reports, a lot of stuff in Excel because we use an older system. I put out reports based on their payroll budgets, their expenses such as supplies and maintenance. Um, and then how much we're actually earning, so that we know we're staying on track. And then we also look at like waste numbers, which is a big deal right now for us um, in our plant. So we're got all kinds of projects going on now that we're sheltered at home. I'm still doing the same thing, but most of my interaction is via email, or we do a lot of Skype calls. So that's pretty much been the day to day. I've been at home for almost a month now.
So your plant is still operating though,
We are
right?
still operating. We make big wire and cable that's essential to the life of everybody. So
Okay. So when you talk about so you basically are watching and tracking like how much has been spent on the payroll, how much raw materials are
Mhm.
costing, and then you said you compare that to, well, this is how much we sold to make sure we're in line, and then you mentioned waste. So for my accounting students, especially who haven't had cost accounting, would you mind to explain a little bit what waste is? Because some people might think of that as like, I don't know, trash.
Well, you have like normal waste as far as like making a product. So, for example, we make the wire and it gets a coating on it. So when it goes through, there's the normal, what we consider normal waste of you don't, all that product doesn't go on there. Some of it has to be smoothed off. But outside of that, then you also have where you have, machine failure or operator error or, anything, or a speck of dust got in it, that we would be considered waste outside of what you've already put into your standards or your budget for for that month.
Mhm.
So we are really tracking that very closely, making sure that we're not wasting more than we already said we would based on normal waste. So we look at that on probably 2 or 3 days a week. Um, we have several projects on reducing even our normal waste. So I work closely with the engineers and materials because they purchase raw material, but for the finance plant controller, we have to, look at the cost of that material. If we switch a material, is it going to save us money? Is it going to cost us more money? Even down to buying a pen, will you buy certain pens? Well, can we get those pens cheaper somewhere else? Or can we buy a different pen? All that, nickel and dimes add up. So we do a lot of that. I
You.
work very closely with the purchasing people. They do most of the negotiating to make sure we get a better price, but we work very closely together. So
So really, really, you are central to the operations because you're working with the people on the manufacturing floor. You're working with the engineers. You're working with the salespeople. You've got to know sales numbers. You're working with the purchasing people who are negotiating the contracts, and then you have to kind of be the one then that reports to the final decision makers too, right?
yeah.
So you're communicating all of this, gathering a lot of information and
Yes.
communicating.
So I say I have like lots of bosses because I, like you said, in the plant and then outside of the plant too, the people. We have a corporate in Highland Heights, Kentucky, and then our big headquarters in Milan. So I'm giving information to the plant so they know what they're doing and where they stand, and then also reporting back up to say this is how the plant's doing. Sometimes those reports can be different. Sometimes I try to streamline them to make sure that it makes my life easier. With the coronavirus going on, we've got extra reporting because we're watching expenses even more, as we don't know how the economy is going to react to this. So
Mm. Very, very, very true. So now, a question I want to ask that I didn't necessarily plan on asking, but as we're talking, it kind of came up. So you may be like, what is it like being a woman in this particular work environment? Because I have a feeling that you work with a lot of men.
I
Now, I
do.
could be wrong, but I have a feeling. So what is that like?
So it was definitely different for me because coming from priority staffing, which is about 95% or plus women in the workplace, to going back to manufacturing, which is complete opposite. um, you you learn that you have to, sometimes you have to be assertive and stand your ground, and always come up with, back your data up, which is always important in accounting in general. Is if you're gonna, give out some numbers, make sure that you have data to back it up. And then also just, I'd say, um, I think the world is changing, so women are more accepting,
And
but
it should
uh,
be that way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I don't necessarily think that somebody that people look and say, "Oh, she's a woman in that position." I think people trust me and understand that, I have the education and I'm digging deep in the numbers. Of course, that trust has to be built over time. I've been back in my role for 6 months, almost. It's crazy to think I've been, well, yeah, almost 6 months. So I'm building trust with the plant controller, with the plant manager, and reporting those numbers, and with the management above me. So it's just I don't necessarily think that now the women in the workplace actually plays a role. I think it's more they see you as a equal, as long as you prove that you are, you're doing your job, and you can give the numbers and all that stuff. So
That's
it's
that's
accurate.
that's true. That was, me, being an old fashioned and asking that question, I guess. But when you talk about interpreting the numbers, I think that's so important And in my advanced accounting class especially, I feel like it's important to ask the question why, or so what. We, especially now, because we're getting 6 hours of dual credit through accounting too, and we really have to like stay on it to stay on top of it. But it's important to stop, because we'll get so involved in coming up with the right answer. And then I stop and say, yeah, but what does that number mean? Like, what's the purpose of that number? What decisions are going to be made
And
based
yeah,
on that number?
and it's very important that I always say that I'm an accountant, but the people I'm talking to aren't. So if I explain something to them, do they understand what I'm saying? You have to be able to take that information and give it to them in a way they understand. And I believe some accountants struggle with that, but I've tried to make sure that that's my priority. Is if I'm going to present the information, I want to make sure you understand. I always ask the team, does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you need me to explain it more? Because I know as an accountant, we can talk in accounting language, and everybody else looks like a deer with headlights. Like what? So I always try to make sure that when I explain something that people understand. So
That is so good, because it's consistent with a discussion I had yesterday. I talked to another accountant and an attorney, and
mhm.
they both talked about the importance of being able to communicate these complex technical terms and issues in a way that anyone can understand, even if they don't have a background, in accounting or in the law. So that is a great message for my students to hear, that communication is so important.
It is. It is. You think a lot of people think accounting is all about numbers, and I try to explain to people. They're like, "Oh, you're an accountant. You're good with numbers." Like it's not all numbers.
True.
It's some true. Yes.
Definitely have to have those interpersonal skills.
Mhm.
You are dropping information about numbers. Sometimes it's not good information. You definitely have to have interpersonal skills to be able to work with people, in situations that might not always be what they want to hear.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so that's good.
Conversations.
So as far as students today, or let's say you were going back to talk to Celeste when she was 16, 17, 18, or if you were, addressing one of my classes today, as you have done in the past for me, what are some of the things that you think are most important for those students to take away, or to kind of prepare for as they venture on beyond the walls of Marion High School?
I think it's important, being that Marion High School has a lot of opportunities to take classes in fields you might like. Not every high school has the opportunity, but Marion does, to, explore your options while you're in high school. I think that helped me. I don't think I even knew what accounting was, or what even went down that road had Hassie Louts not, said, "Hey, maybe you should check this class out. You like math. Go talk to Dina and see what she has to say about it." So I think
And I'm
that
so
that
glad
opportunity. I think I don't think I ever would have even like entertained accounting. I mean, or even business per se. I don't think I even thought that was somewhere that I thought I wanted to go down that road. But now, I mean, I love it, and I don't, I like going to work most days.
That's
uh,
all we all want to be able to say.
yeah, most days. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy helping, other business owners. Sometimes I get phone calls to help other people that necessarily don't understand the accounting world, like just a couple questions. So
Yeah,
uh,
awesome.
I think that's the biggest opportunity you have while you're in high school, is just take advantage of what's available to you. If you don't know what you want to do, try it all out, sample it.
Very, very, very true. As and from that standpoint, also, then, what do you think helps people stand out and progress through their career? I heard you talk about internships. We've talked a lot about communication skills. Is there anything else that you want to add to that that students should be mindful of if they want to, make themselves stand out?
Um, for me, it's determination. I mean, set a goal for myself, and here I am. Right out of, let's see, I've been out of 8 years, graduated, and now I'm the plant controller. So
I'm so proud of
determination, thanks. Determination, and then using your resources. I mean, I think I've reached out to you several times when I was in the job market. Like, do you know anybody who's got a accounting job open? Um, I think I don't know, just your personality. I mean, sometimes personality plays a big role in, your interview skills. If you come off, dry and not wanting to try, because a lot of companies will hire you even if you have no experience. So just showing that you're willing to, try and learn, and those are all good skills and things to keep in mind. I think my willingness to learn and uh, you know, do more than what I already know is kind of got me where I'm at. Because I mean, I walked into cost accounting and I had no cost accounting experience. I worked at Priority Staffing as their finance manager, and I had no idea anything about the staffing world and how the accounting works there.
it.
And I told them, I'm like, I don't know anything about that. They're like, oh, we could teach you. So I think just the willingness to learn. So.
Again, I love that these interviews are kind of coming together and common themes are emerging. And when I talked to Allison Berge this week, she said, you know, the technical skills will come. Like you will learn them. You'll be
On the job.
um, with experience. You gain those things, but you have to have the right attitude, the willingness,
Mhm,
the organizational and communication skills will get you to the next level if you're willing to learn that
mhm.
stuff will come. So that's perfect. I love that my students are going to be hearing this from unprompted, from people outside of our high school walls, and to realize that I'm not as crazy as they think I. That is really good. Well, I cannot thank you enough for taking time to do this with me. I know we're all in really non-traditional circumstances right now, and trying to make the best of it. And I feel like this content is going to be something really good that I can share with my students while we might not be able to be in the classroom together. So thank you so much, Celeste. I really, really appreciate it.
You are welcome. Thank you.